You guys should play Warhammer in different ways. There, I said it. So many people, you included, probably just play 2,000 point games of Warhammer, or maybe slightly less if you're a newer player. So I wanted to make this short video to highlight some of the other ways you can engage in Warhammer tabletop gaming that aren't just 2K games. This is specifically referring to Warhammer 40,000 specifically. I haven't played Age of Sigmar or its offspring games, so I won't be talking about those here. First off, let's talk about Crusade. Deus Vult. Crusade's a great, more casual, I guess, beer hammer sort of format that you can play with your friends or a group. Right now I'm engaging in one with a group of 7 or 8 different friends, and we're just having a blast playing it whenever we can. Often Crusades add very interesting mission rules. Recently I've been playing the new Armageddon book, and there's a bunch of rules that summon demons in the middle of the battlefield that will attack a player at random, and a bunch of warp fluctuations and various other effects like that. And each faction in its book has a set of rules specifically for that faction and extra stuff you can do. To give some examples, for my Adeptus Mechanicus Crusade force, my guys are just as you go collecting parts for pieces of archaeotech, and they gradually upgrade themselves with like shields, weapons, and all other kinds of wacky nonsense. Whereas the Imperial Agents book can generate intrigue, solve mysteries, and do all these kinds of wacky little side missions that you can do while you're doing your standard gameplay loop. And as a bonus, they can be done as part of other factions too, because it's Imperial Agents. For my Emperor's Children, which I've only played once or twice so far, but they get to create combat drugs which they get to take at the start of a game, and they get very sad if they don't get to, and they become battle shock for a turn. But if you take the drugs, you can't take the same ones next game because that's cringe, and we don't do that here. There's 20 plus factions or whatever it is of these kinds of rules, and they're all great in their own different ways. And there's a lot of really interesting asymmetrical maps, some of which are quite similar to the new mission deck for 2K games, which is quite nice. So go talk to your friends, play a Crusade game or two, see if you like it. Next up's boarding actions. I need to play more of this one. In the last year or so, Games Workshop officially sort of added boarding actions as like a side game that just is a mainstay in stores. Every time I walk into my local branch at Games Workshop, they have the terrain box and they have the book just on the shelf. For any of you who are getting the new Deathwatch Necron's Kill Team box, the terrain in there looks like it'll be really good for boarding actions. If you have more than one set of it, you should have enough to make a boarding actions board. And again, this game mode has a bunch of rules for each faction that make them play in a different way than they normally would. I can't give too much critique on this one because, again, I've not played too much of it, but it's one I really want to get into the nitty-gritty of and give it another go. And lastly, you should just try games at different point values than you usually do. Try a game that's 2v1 with 2 factions against 1 with your mates. Try a 2v2. Try a teams game. Hell, go to a teams tournament. Those are so much fun. Before I get into teams though, even different game sizes are sometimes supported by local tournament events. There's a few down the road for me that will play events at 500, 1,000 and 2,000 points. And often many of these weird point size tournaments are still supported by the UKTC/ITC ranking systems if they've applied for the tokens for them. And every now and then, you might now run into some tournaments that decide to play with twists enabled. I wouldn't recommend it for a super competitive tournament, but it's a hell of a lot of fun when you do get to use them. They're a bit strange. A particular favourite of mine, I'm not biased at all, is the +3 attacks on the wall one because it turns Cool's Melter Gun into an absolute monster. Instead of being D3 shots, it's 3 plus D3. Yeah, he's not balanced around that. Or maybe you're just sick of your Tau friend and you want to take the one that makes it so you can only shoot at things that are near you. Makes for good player experiences if you don't have much terrain. But lastly, teams. Even if you're not a competitive player, just playing with a group of 4 or 5 friends at a big event and running into all these players that are so good at the game is always just a good experience. The entire experience of drafting a team against another team is really interesting. So for those of you watching who don't know, if you are playing in a teams game, each team usually will have a captain, and you'll essentially have a set of 5 cards representing your factions, and you'll present one to your opponent and they present one to you face down. You flip them over, and then you place 2 attackers face down for that defender to fight. The defending person on the other team then picks one of those 2 for their army to fight, and you repeat this ad nauseum until everyone is paired up. It's a really interesting system because normally if you go to an actual tournament, or a normal 2K tournament rather, you are playing pair completely randomly based on your win bracket. Whereas with this, you can sort of pair and pick what you're going to match into. Based on the list that you constructed, you can build way more skewy lists and weird lists that you normally wouldn't be able to play at a normal tournament. Hopefully this rattling on about these different modes has encouraged some of you to try something weird or new. I enjoy most of these, I've tried almost all of them. I want to try boarding actions more next. But let me know down below if there's a game mode that you'd like trying. Oh, a special little shout out I'll throw in here is I've also tried Warhammer's Horde mode. It's a lot of fun. But let me know down below what modes you guys have tried, or have you tried any custom rules or anything like that? Have you created your own game modes? Or are you planning to go to a Teams event sometime soon for the first time? Let me know down below. And as always, remember to like, comment, subscribe, do all the standard YouTube pleasantries. And thanks for watching.